Star Trek repeats a naughty Captain Kirk joke from 33 years ago, and it's still hilarious. The naughtiest joke told in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, is revisited by Star Trek Lower Decks. In its final season on Paramount+, Star Trek Lower Decks continues the zany voyages of the USS Cerritos. Star Trek Lower Decks' lovable cast has already encountered their alternate universe doubles, avoided an Orion war, and solved a mystery involving nanites on an interstellar cruise ship in Season 5. In Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, Captain James T. Kirk William Shatner and Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy were framed for the assassination of Klingon High Chancellor Gorkin David Warner by a conspiracy. Kirk and Bones were sentenced to the Klingon prison planet Rura-Penth, where they were to be murdered. The Starfleet heroes encountered a menagerie of aliens at Rura-Penth, including a shape-shifting chameloid named Marcia Iman. Kirk also learned something about alien anatomy that turned into a risque joke for Star Trek. In Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 3, The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel, LT, Brad Boimler's hunt for AWOL Starfleet Admiral Milius Toby Huss involves skiing down a dangerous mountain. As Boimler plummeted, he grabbed onto the back of an alien skier, and Bradward found out he was holding on to the alien's genitals. On his X account, Jorg Hillebrand, at Gagyogi49, who is a researcher for Star Trek Picard, pointed out Boimler's joke is similar to Captain Kirk's gag in Star Trek VI. Captain Kirk got into a fight with a massive horned alien during his imprisonment on Rura-Penth in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Physically outmatched, Kirk kicked the alien in his knees, which immediately dropped the creature in agony. Marcia explained to the confused Kirk that, "Not everybody keeps their genitals in the same place, Captain." Star Trek Lower Decks' Boimler offers a hilarious revisiting of this unmistakable fact. Some Star Trek aliens' genitals are where their knees are, or on their backs. Star Trek's vast coterie of aliens essentially being humanoids with different kinds of bumpy foreheads became a running joke over the decades. Star Trek, the original series, was limited by the makeup, technology, and budgets of the 1960s, and the franchise has continued the tradition of most aliens being some variation of humanoid. However, Star Trek on Paramount Plus's cinematic visual effects, increased budgets, and the animated series Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Prodigy have allowed for more exotic and non-human-looking aliens. Star Trek Lower Decks still features traditional aliens like Klingons, Cardassians, Ferengi, and Romulans, but they've also showcased more bizarre creatures like Clickets, Dupplers, Chromsapiens, and Drukmani, who aren't necessarily human-sized or shaped bipeds. One of Lower Decks' most memorable alien creations is the Moopsie, an apparently adorable little critter that savagely and relentlessly eats the bones of other species. Who knows where any of those aliens keep their genitals? Thus far, Star Trek Lower Decks isn't saying. In the vast universe of Star Trek, with its plethora of philosophical quandaries, cutting-edge technology, and interspecies diplomacy, there exists a delightful vein of humor that's often underrated. While the franchise is known for its serious storytelling, moments of levity often delivered with impeccable timing help to humanize the characters and make the journey through the stars feel relatable. Captain James T. Kirk, portrayed by William Shatner, is one such character who, though primarily known for his daring leadership and swagger, also had a penchant for a certain kind of humor. One joke in particular, told over 3 decades ago, has been dusted off and retold, bringing with it the same sense of hilarity it did the first time around. In a recent episode of a Star Trek series, the joke was repeated, much to the delight of longtime fans. What makes this joke special isn't just that it's funny, but also that it's a callback to the very essence of who Captain Kirk was, a bold, often cheeky, and occasionally irreverent leader. But before diving into the specifics of the joke, it's important to understand its context and why it continues to resonate with audiences even after 33 years. The original joke, Captain Kirk's double entendre, the joke in question originates from Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, the 1989 movie directed by none other than William Shatner himself. While the movie may not have been the most critically acclaimed entry in the Star Trek film series, it had its fair share of memorable moments. Among them was a scene where Kirk, Spock, and McCoy sit around a campfire, engaging in lighthearted banter. During their conversation, Kirk, with a twinkle in his eye, makes a quip about the Vulcan practice of suppressing emotions. "Why don't you tell me really what's on your mind?" Kirk jests at Spock, hinting that there's always something more beneath the Vulcan's stoic exterior. The line itself isn't overtly bawdy, but the knowing grin that accompanies it adds a layer of mischief to the moment, as if Kirk is poking fun at Spock's notorious restraint. Though the joke may seem innocuous, it's the subtext, the suggestion that even Spock, with all his Vulcan training, isn't entirely immune to human urges and thoughts, that adds to its playful charm. Fans of Star Trek picked up on this underlying tone, cementing the moment as a classic in the franchise's lighter repertoire. The 33-year-old joke makes a comeback fast forward to 2022, and Star Trek continues to explore new frontiers with shows like Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Lower Decks, blending the nostalgic with the contemporary. In one such recent episode, a nod to this classic Kirk joke reappeared, this time adapted to suit a new generation of fans while still maintaining the humor that made it memorable in the first place. In the scene, a captain who mirrors many of Kirk's traits, a mix of bravado and humor, finds himself in a situation where a Vulcan crew member is delivering a particularly dry, emotionless explanation. With a smirk, the captain repeats a variation of the line, "Why don't you tell me what you really think?" The callback is immediate for those familiar with Kirk's original quip, and the comedic timing is just as sharp. Even after 3 decades, the joke lands perfectly, proving that some humor is truly timeless. Why it still works, there are several reasons why this joke remains effective, even after so many years. First and foremost, it taps into a universal comedic trope, the contrast between two opposing personalities. Captain Kirk, and by extension his modern counterparts, represents human impulsiveness, warmth, and emotion, while Spock and other Vulcans embodies logic, restraint, and stoicism. The humor arises when these two forces clash, with Kirk or whoever is delivering the joke attempting to pierce through the Vulcan's composed exterior. Moreover, the joke works because of its subtlety. It doesn't rely on overt bawdiness or crass humor. Instead, it's a cheeky nudge, a wink to the audience that hints at something more beneath the surface without fully spelling it out. This kind of humor is quintessentially Star Trek, clever, thoughtful, and delivered with just the right amount of restraint. Additionally, the repetition of the joke in a modern context speaks to the enduring appeal of Star Trek's characters and dynamics. Captain Kirk, with his charismatic mix of charm and humor, left an indelible mark on the franchise. By revisiting this joke, the writers are paying homage to a character who, despite the many years that have passed, still feels relevant and relatable. The legacy of Star Trek's humor has always been a key component of Star Trek. While the franchise is renowned for tackling complex issues like morality, politics, and the human condition, it never shies away from injecting moments of levity into its narratives. From Spock's dry wit to McCoy's irascible outbursts, the interplay between characters has often resulted in laugh-out-loud moments that offer a reprieve from the high-stakes drama of space exploration. The fact that a joke from 33 years ago still resonates today is a testament to the strength of Star Trek's writing and its ability to balance serious storytelling with humor. It also speaks to the franchise's deep connection with its fans, who appreciate these callbacks and the sense of continuity they provide. In the end, the repetition of Captain Kirk's naughty joke isn't just about getting a laugh, it's about celebrating the enduring,